Hey, let's talk a little bit about football in general. You go through. Do you ever sit there among this crowd and just wonder why? Why we attach such importance to this?
I mean, I think it's the fact that how beloved the game is and how popular it is, and also the fact that these guys are getting paid millions upon millions of dollars. And when the team is not seeing the results like they have this season, I think people want to know, what's going on, what's their frame of mind, who can I be accountable to? And I mean, it makes sense. The fans keep coming in, so they want answers.
But I was thinking back, why do we care so much? I mean, it goes that there's any number of things involved in that, but it seems like that's the primary thing for me was when I used to do the same thing years ago, Wednesday afternoons. Why do we care so much?
I mean, it's interesting. As a Bills fan, what do you guys
think? Well, I think, to Jenna's point, it's not just interesting what players say, it's how they react. And the LaShawn McCoy thing, I think, is an interesting example. I don't think anybody is going to hold somebody as accountable for not saying something bad about a teammate or not ripping them. But standing up and being accountable, as in, I think that is a form of being accountable, even to the fans, to say, look, if things aren't going well, stand up and answer questions. It's sort of like you accept the fact that it hasn't gone that well. The problem with this Bills season is for most of the year, the narratives have been kind of the same. Bad quarterback play, losing games, wondering about the whole process, defense way ahead of the offense. So it's sort of stagnated for a while. But yeah, I don't think we necessarily hold on every word that they say. I think it's the way people react, not always necessarily the exact words that they say.
Well, I mean, to the original question, why do we care so much, whether it's hanging on the words or what this team does? In its most simple thing, it's tribal, right? Like, we in Western New York have a little bit of an inferiority complex. So what are we known for? The Bills and the Sabres and Syracuse basketball, if you want to lump that in there. I've had my Bills season tickets for years. My dad had his before mine. And there is nothing like, and there's nothing like it anymore in society today, being at a place with 72,000 people that are all minded the same way you are. 72,000 like-minded people who all want the right things to happen. And when things are going well, it's the greatest feeling in the world. When things aren't going well, I want them to go well. And the guy that's leading my tribe, whether it's Sean McDermott or whoever head coach, you tell me why it's not going well. And if I don't like that answer, well, I'm going to get together with the rest of my tribe and we're going to talk about it on sports radio. I'm going to write the editorial board or now get on blogs and things like that, social media. I want to be a part of something big, and you are the leader of that big thing. So you better tell me what the heck is wrong, and you better fix it soon, or I'm tweeting about it.
I'm watching the game sometimes, and a guy gets seriously hurt, or there's a big collision and stuff, and every once in a while I feel almost ashamed to be such a fan of the game that seems to treat humanity with such disregard sometimes. Is that overstating it?
Yeah, I think a little bit.
Yes, Bill.
Only because, one, I wanted to stop you for a second. There are not 72,000 people who think like you at all.
Says man who thinks like nobody.
Okay, and secondly, the reason I say that is because it is a game guys have chosen to play, and you are a fan of the game. I would say if it didn't bother you or you didn't feel anything to see somebody take a big hit or get injured in the game, then that would be different. I'm a fan of the game. I never was a fan of the crushing hits and a guy taking the other guy out of the game. I enjoy the game to watch. I didn't play in the NFL. I have nowhere near the idea of what those guys really, really go through unless you play the game. I don't think you should feel guilty enjoying the football game.
I think I understand what you're saying, right? Because I've had the experience as an adult of being on both sides, right? Before I had my job in the media, I was a fan, and now I'm still a fan, but I get to meet these guys and be around the team. Before I got my job in radio, I was that guy who cheered open ice hits, right? When Umberger gets knocked unconscious at center ice, I'm standing up and cheering, and I'm waiting for those collisions across the middle. And then I get this job in radio, and you start meeting these people, right? And you see their families show up at training camp, and you realize that they are the same guy you are, just trying to put food on the table for their families. And in that aspect, it changed for me. I can't watch hockey fights anymore. It really bothers me. When I see a guy take a shot in the head and him go limp, instead of cheering like I did 10 years ago, I'm sitting there with my fingers in my mouth like, oh my God, I know that guy, and what's his wife going to do and his kids for the rest of his life? I think that we see these athletes as commodities instead of human beings. Right? And as much as they're giving us more access to these people, it's still hard to have that personal relationship with someone when you're not standing next to them and hearing what they actually have to say. And I think those guys understand that for the most part, right? Like we're going to buy their jerseys and they're going to make more money because we see them as something they're actually not. So, yeah, when you're on your side of it, yes, I get where that uncomfortability comes from.